Welcome to the VI Department of Education's 2020-2021 Parent and Community Educational Conference. Research has shown that parental involvement is a key factor in student achievement and students' overall success in life. It is also known to be true that parents tend to participate more in their child's education when they know how and when they feel knowledgeable and equipped with the tools to do so. With this in mind, the VI Department of Education has provided professional development for parents over the years, and we are pleased to continue providing this important and necessary support. What's new at the department, however, is the professional development we are providing for the VI community. This change is due to the fact that successful school systems have strong, positive, and consistent community support. And with this goal of rebuilding the community's trust in the Virgin Islands public education system, I am delighted to bring this educational conference to you. Your participation in today's conference will help to transform our public education system. I look forward to hearing about your experience today and the areas of the VI public education system you would like to learn more about. Remember, together we can transform public education in the Virgin Islands. Enjoy today's session.
Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us in this special event this evening. My name is Costin Merchant. I'm the Supervisor of Pupil Transportation in the District of St. Thomas, St. John. This evening, we are gonna give you some information that we think is important for you and your children, your students, who will be riding our buses in this COVID period. Let's start the first slide. Okay, to begin with, we're going to start by having you tell your children how to get to the bus stop. Okay, so we're going to be going to the bus stop. Now, first of all, you want to plan to leave home early. You know, you want to leave home early enough at the bus stop so you can get there at least 5 minutes before. If you are walking to the bus stop and there are no sidewalks, face traffic so that you can be seen and the driver can see you. I think my slide is a little too. Okay, let me see something. Just a second. I'll get this out of the way. Okay, I got it. Okay. Thirdly, if you must cross a street, do so at the corner rather than at the middle of the block. Also, you want to stand well off the road while waiting for the bus. The edge of the bus of a busy road is no place for fool around or playing around. That's really dangerous. Now, do not destroy or damage or litter surrounding any property at all. Students should refrain from playing around on private property while waiting for the bus, unless permission has been granted by the proprietor. Students must travel on their assigned bus, load and unload at the designated stop. Next slide. Now, when we are loading the bus, this is very, very, very important. Please do not move toward the bus at the loading zone until the bus has come to a complete stop. We do not want anyone getting run over. You're going to line up in a single line about 10 feet from the point where the bus stops. That is when possible, because we know how it is on our small islands and our small road there. Sometimes it's not possible, but we're going to try to be at least 10 feet away from the bus. You want to be have the children standing 6 feet apart and must have their face mask on. No one is allowed to ride on the buses without a face mask. Now, the bus driver is going to instruct the students when to get onto the bus. You're going to open the door, have them get onto the bus. Now we're going to load the bus in an orderly manner, one at a time. You don't want anyone pushing anyone, so get anyone damaged. You're going to sit down immediately. Students from the same household may sit in the same seat. Because of the new guidelines now, that is allowable. We do not want to have people from different households sitting in the same seat, so we must be in distance apart. So you're going to go in, others will sit on every other seat in each other row. Remain seated and facing forward while the bus is in motion. Stay in your seat until the bus comes to your destination. Now, while riding the bus, it's important to follow the directive of the school bus driver at all times. He's the captain of the ship, so to speak. Do not talk to the driver when the bus is in motion unless there is an emergency. Keep your head, body, arms, and legs inside the bus at all times. That is so important. You don't want any student hanging their hands out of the bus and something comes across and damages it. You're not supposed to be opening any windows unless given permission by the driver. Again, you must be listening to your driver. Never throw articles on the bus or from the bus windows. No projectiles at all. Eating and drinking the bus is prohibited. The reason being, if you're eating and the bus has to make a sudden stop or even turn in a corner, you can have food stuck in your throat. That's dangerous. Loud, profane, or abusive language is definitely unacceptable. That's not correct. Do not open or tamper with the emergency doors or bus equipment unless directed to do so by the driver. This includes sitting in the driver's seat and playing with the controls on the bus. Smoking or lighting of matches on the bus is strictly prohibited. No doubt about that. Next slide. Now, when we are unloading the bus, we want you to remain in your seat until the bus comes to a complete stop. You don't want anyone falling when the bus, when the driver applies his brakes and then you get damaged. Let those closest to the door get off first. Exit in a prompt and orderly manner. Remain in full view of the driver at all times. Wait for the bus driver to signal that the road is clear before crossing. This is very important. I'll tell you why. Let me finish reading the entire thing first. Wait for the bus driver to signal. Oops. I think my internet is messing up. It's blowing. Okay, it's coming back. Okay, good. Thank you. Wait for the bus driver to signal that the road is clear before you cross in front of the bus. Traffic should stop, but don't count on it. The reason being, because we know there are people out there that violate those stop arms on our buses, and they will coming through. So wait until the driver signals you that the traffic is clear so you can pass. Always cross 10 feet in front of the bus. The driver needs to be seeing you when you're crossing. Never cross behind the bus at all. Never. Now, if you drop something in front of the bus, do not bend down to pick it up. Wait until the bus is gone. That's for obvious reasons. When you bend down, the driver cannot see you and may think that you have already crossed the road. You don't want anyone getting run over. Now, these rules that you're going to enact at all times. Exercise caution, good manners, and consideration for your fellow students. Respect and obey the driver at all times. His first concern is your safety. Keep the bus safe and sanitary. Dispose of your litter properly. Put books and book bags where they will not fall. Never on the edge of the seat or in the aisles. Except for ordinary conversation, observe classroom conduct. So, you guys know what I'm talking about. Carry your student ID card for identification purposes when boarding the bus. It's not all the time you're going to have the same driver. So there's sometimes you might have to switch drivers. The right to ride the school bus is important. You have to know this. The right to ride the school bus is a privilege, and misconduct leads to suspension or revocation of that privilege. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Owen Henneman, the School Bus Safety Field Inspector with the Department of Education, St. Croix District. Next slide. Today, I'm going to talk with you about school bus capacity. On St. Croix, buses have 22 seats. Now, this is the max. A few buses don't have that many seats. St. Thomas buses have 20 seats, and again, a few buses don't have that many seats. Elementary students can sit 3 to a seat based on their size. Secondary students or high school students sit 2 to a seat, again, based on their size. With the secondary, sometimes you have smaller children and you can fit 3 to a seat. Pre-pandemic, before the pandemic hit, St. Croix Elementary students had a maximum of 66 per bus. St. Thomas Elementary students were at 60 per bus. St. Croix Secondary students was 44 max per bus, and St. Thomas Secondary students were 40 max per bus. Again, that's based on the size of the student. Next slide, please. Okay, where the Department of Education is going to go with the recommendation, and the maximum of students that can ride the bus during this pandemic will be at 50%. So that means it would take twice the number of buses to facilitate the transportation of students. Again, as stated before, the bus driver will continue to decide where the students sit. So with the 50%, what we expect to see on the buses during this pandemic is less than 50% or less, meaning you should not see a full bus. So you don't expect to see a full bus. And just like Mr. Merchant said, if you have siblings in the same household, they can sit in the same seat, but the maximum is still 50%. Any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat at this time, Mr. Henneman.
I can go into a few other things. Based on our policy, the department, if your child or if the student breaks a rule on the bus, there is a procedure in place. That procedure is the bus driver would first report it to a monitor, administrator, or counselor at the school the child belongs to. And that person will try to talk to the child and get the child to change their bad behavior. If the child don't change their bad behavior, then the administration will call a parental conference to include parents, student, bus driver, and most likely the supervisor of the bus transportation. If the child still does not correct the bad behavior, then the administration of the school, and only the administration of the school, can suspend the service, whether for a day, 2 days, or a week. So again, we're asking you tonight, please speak with your children about their behavior on the bus. We expect good behavior at all times on the bus, at the bus stop. And as Mr. Morchan said, wearing a mask is mandatory, not only on the bus, but while the child is waiting for the bus. Again, these rules are non-negotiable, and it can be suspended. Your bus riding privilege can be suspended at any time based on the rules not being followed. Any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions from Facebook or the Zoom chat at this time.
Maybe if any questions about bus stops, I could go into how bus stops are selected. Bus stops are selected based on the needs of the students in the area. Okay, if you have, say, 5 homes in a stretch, a bus stop will be selected in the middle, not to the end, or not to the far end or to the opposite end. It would be selected in the middle to accommodate all students living in the area. Now, only the superintendent can approve bus stops. A bus stop cannot be within 100 feet of a curve or a hill, it must not be in close to a stoplight or any intersections like that. Again, the bus stop is approved by the superintendent, and it's based on the needs of the children for that school. Now, again, the bus stop is selected for the school for that district. In other words, we're not going to have a child going to a school on one end of the island and the bus stop is on the opposite end. The bus stops are closest to the school for their district. Any questions about bus stops?
Let me just check Facebook. I'm seeing some questions rolling in on Facebook. Ms. Saldana is asking, what is the protocol if a student comes in the bus feeling ill? What should the bus driver do at that time?
Hopefully the parent would be in the vicinity and the bus driver can alert the parent. If there's no parent up in the area and the child is already on board the bus driver have to take the child to school, and then the school deal with it through the isolation room and so forth through their protocol. But the bus driver cannot refuse to take a child based on his own opinion.
Let me add something also. I would suggest that parents, can do some, like something we can call bus duty, and stay with the kids. You can take turns and stay with the students at the bus stop before the bus actually leaves. That I've seen that in some areas, but not all areas. So that is something I would like to encourage the parents to do. Get together and determine who's going to be doing bus watch today, who's going to be doing it tomorrow.
And to piggyback on that, what Mr. Morchan said, the Department of Education is only responsible for your child once the bus gets there. Before the bus arrives, the parents should be there monitoring the child's behavior. And again, we expect good behavior.
Okay, I have a couple other questions if you'd like to take those at this time.
Yes.
Okay, let's see. If your student is dropped by private vehicle, will the child be afforded the opportunity to ride the bus in the afternoon? So this sounds like the parent is dropping the child to school in the morning and asking if they can get the bus home from school at the end of the day.
Yes, that can be done. And I should encourage those parents who definitely needs the bus service to register your student. You can do that at the school before orientation, or there's a possibility that we may put up that registration back on our website, the VIDE website. So yes, that is allowable. However, we will not be busing a student out of their district. So for instance, if your student is going to one school, so I'm going to use an example on St. Thomas. So go to Cebu Shelter School, and that student lives in Bovoni. Now, because you're actually working down at Niski Center, then you're asking for a bus ride for your student to get down to Niski Center. That's not going to be allowable, only if space permits. And we know with this COVID area, buses are going to be very limited. Space is going to be very limited.
Okay, I do have another question. Will the listing of pickup and drop-off sites be made available?
The listing of pickups and drop-off points are the same from pandemic. Meaning if your child was going to a particular school, you live in this area, you're going to your district school, it's the same bus stop. It has not changed. The only thing that has changed is the number of children riding the bus and wearing a mask.
Okay, let's see if we have any. I think there's one more question. We have a lot of students that take the bus to school. Will more buses be provided since the amount of students will be cut in half due to COVID restrictions?
Okay, I'll clarify that. On both islands, the bus company are contractors for the Department of Education. And in the contract, they cannot leave any child at the bus stop. So, but let me be clear, the child have to be waiting at the bus stop and the bus is there. In other words, the child can't come to the bus stop after the bus have left and think another bus is coming. So if the bus numbers or if the 50% has been attained on a bus and it's still children at the bus stop, the bus driver will call their company and tell their supervisor, and they will send another bus to pick up the rest student. By our contract, they cannot leave any student at a bus stop. And on those same lines, they cannot drop off a student at any other bus stop than their own bus stop.
Designated bus stop.
School. Their designated bus stop. Correct, thanks.
Okay, that seems to be the last of the questions at this time.
Okay. I hope that parents, motorists, and students, especially students, they have to think about their safety. If we all work together, we can transport these students safely to and from school in the whole territory. That is the first priority. Thank you.
Good day, parents. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the information valuable to understanding the VIDE's functions and beneficial to your ease of engagement with the Department of Education. You may access this information anytime by visiting vide.vi and clicking on the For Families tab. Thank you.